Well, folks, we just got back from another Disney trip, and this time we did stay on Disney property, and we stayed at a place that is about as subtle as, say, a fireworks show in your living room. Hey folks, welcome to the Down the Road Travel channel. My name is Will Van Winkle, and this is Disney's Art of Animation Resort. Now, I'll be honest with you, this place does have a reputation. Some folks love it. Some folks say it's a little loud, a little busy. And we went out to try to figure out which side we land on. More importantly, we're staying in one of their family suites. So if you've ever tried to cram a whole family into a standard hotel room, you already know this might matter. This is actually about the size of a one-bedroom apartment and pretty well thought out. They have they have the bedroom, they have 2 bathrooms, they have a refrigerator, a fold-out couch, and then the dining table that turns into a Murphy bed. So there's plenty of places for people to sleep. First thing you're gonna notice here, there is absolutely no easing into this place. Disney did not dip their toe in the water to make sure it was warm enough. They straight up cannonballed into this thing. Everything is bright, oversized, colorful. You've got giant characters everywhere. And I do mean like giant characters. It kind of feels like you accidentally shrank and you wandered into a Pixar movie. Or, we stayed at the Lion King suite. That's not Pixar, that is straight up Disney. And if you've got kids with you, you're probably not gonna make it to check in without stopping at least 3 or 4 times to check something out. The animation hall, it might be one of the cooler lobbies on the Disney property. They've got sketches, concept art, animation boards. So it's not just loud and colorful. It actually gives you a little bit of a, we'll say, a behind the scenes feel to it. Now that said, this is still Disney. So don't expect quiet reflection, expect energy. One thing to know about Art of Animation, it's spread out. So depending on where your room is, you might be getting your steps in. Something to keep in mind, this is why Disney calories don't count. And I will tell you that while we were there, the second day we were there, we got in 30,000 steps per person. Most of that was from the parks, but when we got off, or when we got back to the resort, there were a couple thousand steps that we took while we were there. Now, let's see what we've got. And it is, like I said, it is way bigger than you're going to expect. So, the family suite sleeps up to 6. But they didn't just stack beds in there like a bunkhouse. They actually thought it through. It is very well laid out. You've got a separate bedroom with a queen bed, a pull-down bed, the table turns into a bed, and a sleeper sofa. So, yeah, your dinner table later on becomes somebody's bedroom. Choose who's going to sleep on that bed wisely.
That's a good idea. Wow.
Yeah, lights too.
I bet it's more comfortable than this fold-out couch.
Yes. Wow.
Wasn't your dad a fold-out bed in the All-Star Leisure come on?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was comfy.
I think we had this roof arms.
As I mentioned, you have 2 bathrooms. That's probably the best feature in the whole room. You get the 2 bathrooms. Great feature. And if you've ever tried to get a family ready for rope drop with 1 bathroom, you already understand why this is important. And I will tell you this, that back when my daughter was doing competition cheer and multiple people were sharing rooms to save on costs because they didn't expect to go to the Disney thing. It's not like it's built into the normal cost. They won some competitions, they got a bid, they made it there. You have got multiple cheerleaders or multiple athletes trying to get ready for a competition, especially like gymnastics, cheer, dance, things where hair and makeup really matter. That extra bathroom is going to be a lifesaver. Now, you're not going to be cooking in this. You're not going to do any large meals, but in the kitchenette, yes, there's a kitchenette, you have a microwave, a mini fridge, yes, a mini fridge, not a cooler, a coffee maker, enough to keep everybody fed or at least quiet. I will say this, when we got there, the GFCI plug was tripped. We didn't think the coffee maker worked. I noticed that. I popped it back in, worked just fine. And the fridges were set to their warmest setting. So what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna open the door up, and then right at the top of that, there's a little knob. It's very hard to turn because it's slotted. Just use a key, get it in there, or if you have a flathead screwdriver with you for some reason or another, or a penny for that matter, get it in there, turn it all the way down, and it keeps your drinks nice and cold. It would be nice to have a little freezer in there. That way you could like freeze a bottle of water or something, stick it in a cooler or backpack or something like that, because Disney does not allow loose ice cubes because it can be thrown at somebody. Then if you had a frozen bottle of water or like cooling element like blue ice or something like that, you could freeze it and you could keep your drinks cold all day and not have to spend a ton of money at Disney on drinks, because, you know, $5 for a bottle of water is a little bit ridiculous. And if you've ever drank the water out of the water fountains at Disney, you'll know why you don't want that. The room, I don't want to say it's fancy. It is very functional and is very, very themed. And when you're at Disney, function matters a lot more than fancy. But the suites are split into themes. You've got the Finding Nemo suites, you've got the Car suite, you've got the Lion King suites. And they didn't just decorate a little. They committed. They fully committed. Now these rooms, they're not inspired by. You go in there and you have become part of this movie now. And I know we watched a few videos on this and it looked a little bit gaudy, it looked a little bit overdone and a little bit overstimulating. But what I did notice is that some of the images on the walls where they look like they're paintings and stuff, they're actually headboards. And that makes a bit of a difference. So when you're actually in the room, it's not as gaudy as it appears on video. Now, where the resort really starts to make a strong case for itself is the transportation. You have access to the Skyliner. That's right, Art of Animation is a Skyliner resort. So you can get to Hollywood Studios, you can get to Epcot, you can get to other resorts. And it may be one of the best transportation options that Disney has got. It's quick, it's smooth, it doesn't feel like transportation. It's basically the first ride of the day. If you have a lot of heavy winds, they'll be shut down and then they'll be replaced with buses. To get to Animal Kingdom and to Magic Kingdom, you still have to take buses. But Epcot and Hollywood Studios, very smooth sailing, straight shot. I mean, you have to take the Skyliner one stop to, I believe it's Caribbean Beach Club, and then you transfer from there. But it's pretty easy and it's great. I mean, I love Fort Wilderness because you can take the boat straight to Magic Kingdom. I loved Art of Animation because you could take the Skyliner over to 2 different parks, and the waiting was there wasn't a lot of waiting. They come so quickly. Now, as I said, for Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom, you're on buses. They run pretty regularly, but still a bus can still get a little packed. The amenities for this place are pretty amazing as well. You have the big blue pool. It's actually the largest pool at any Disney resort, and it shows. And you're not going to be lonely out at this one. You've got 2 other pools if that one's too busy for you. You have Landscape of Flavors food court. Lots of options here. Pretty quick, pretty easy. It's one of those places where you're not overthinking dinner. You're just eating and getting back to the parks. I will say this. The food was better than the other value resorts. With all these amenities, you would think Art of Animation is not a value resort. It is still considered a value resort by Disney, but it's so much better than, say, All-Star Sports, All-Star Movies, All-Star Music. The food is better, more options. It may not look like much, but it was pretty good. You also have movies at night. You have an arcade, a playground, s'mores. So even a resort day, there's plenty going on if you decide to stick around there. Now, why is this a good room? The space is great. You've got a lot of room. There were only 3 of us here, but it was nice to have the extra space to spread out. There is one chair in the living room area. It's kind of an egg-shaped chair. If you dress it up just nice, it could be the Emperor Palpatine's chair from Star Wars. It's the most uncomfortable thing I've ever sat in my life. but I was only in it for about 10 minutes, and no one ever sat in it the rest of the time that we were there. You've got the 2 bathrooms, and then the Skyliner access, and that is way bigger of a deal than it sounds like. What doesn't work, it's busy, it's loud, and for something in the value category, it's not exactly cheap. And what I mean by it's loud, I wasn't hearing a lot of screaming, although I did hear a couple of kids screaming when they were woken up at 5 a.m. and I can understand that. I would be screaming if I woke up at 5 a.m. as well. There's no carpet in the rooms. And so what that does is anytime somebody moves a chair or a suitcase or anything like that, you're gonna hear it in the adjacent room. And we did hear that quite often, but it wasn't horrible. Is it worth it though? I think it comes down to who you are, especially if you've got a family, and we'll say especially kids because of the theming. The place makes a lot more sense. There's space, there's energy, and there are things to do. Honestly, it kind of feels like the vacation starts the second you get there because you have been transported from the real world into Disney. But if you're looking for quiet or something a little more low-key, this probably isn't the best place for you to go. But if you don't mind a little noise and a lot of color, this might be worth going a little out of your way for. So that was our experience there. It was comfortable. The beds were super comfortable. The pillows were not too thick. They weren't too thin. They're nice and fluffy. Everybody felt, I don't want to say well rested because let's face it, this is Disney. Because let's face it, if you're going to Disney, you are not taking a relaxing vacation. You are taking a trip. And you're already the trip has begun once you've checked in. I mean, even before you check in. So overall, would I stay here again? If we were going with the whole family without the RV, or at least say 3 of us, and we don't want to splurge on an extra room. It is still a little less expensive than 2 rooms if you've got, say, pass holder discounts. At the time that we went, my stepdaughter was working at Be Our Guest restaurant. So we had an even better discount, which was awesome. And that's probably why we tried it. But if you are going and you just regular tickets, no perks, no discounts, anything like that, it may still be less expensive to go over to the All Stars and get 2 rooms. So was it worth it? Yes, I think it was worth it to me. Would I do it again? As I said, only if we had enough people to make the extra space a necessity. And we weren't staying long enough to take the RV. So I hope this helps you when you're deciding where to stay for your Disney World vacation. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you down the road.
Let's hit the road.